When the Afghan government collapsed, some worried about the hardware left behind. But something else was also left behind, and it was more important to the coalition campaign in Afghanistan. A system built up over more than a decade to monitor phone and internet communications across the country. Now in hiding, we've been communicating with those who ran Afghanistan's secret surveillance infrastructure, who now fear it'll be turned against them.
I should say that it was one of the most important and key units in identifying and pursuing terrorists. We carried out many tasks with the help of information technology. Unfortunately, now this unit is in the hands of the Taliban, and they have access to all the facilities. They have forced some of the employees to work there and brought some others from the outside to find out about the security service personnel. This is creating so much fear for all of us.
Britain had a special responsibility for that section, known as lawful interception, or Delta 011, within the Afghan National Directorate of Security, the NDS. It helped set it up in 2009, trained and paid many of its experts. The Delta 011 unit was a success story for British mentoring. It produced vital intelligence that launched hundreds of counter-terrorist and other operations. But when the Afghan government collapsed in August, only a few of those who knew about this secret technology of surveillance were evacuated. We've been in touch with several of those who were left behind, and they expressed their fears of being murdered by the Taliban, and that Britain has forgotten them. We've established that some members of Delta 011, probably around 25, were evacuated during Operation Pitting, the British airlift from Kabul airport that ended on the 28th of August. But that many others, including 2 we know of who'd applied for British visas in May, were never called forward.
We hope to continue to be able to say to people, well, you can come out. And one of the key things that we're saying to the Taliban, to the government, the new authorities in Kabul, is to engage with the West, to unlock those funds. Safe passage is for those who want to come out is obviously the #1 condition.
But in the weeks since the evacuation, several former NDS officers in hiding that we've been in contact with have heard nothing, not even whether they're eligible for Britain's Afghan resettlement scheme or ARAP.
The reality is
Dan Jarvis served alongside the NDS on operations in Afghanistan and is now a Labour MP.
These are people who are uniquely vulnerable. These are people who provided a very important service while coalition forces were serving in Afghanistan. And of course, they have an expertise and a capability that will be particularly useful to the new regime. So I think the government does need to look closely at how many people we're talking about here and what can be done specifically to evacuate from the country. The Americans seem to be approaching this with a much greater urgency than the British.
It's been suggested to us by British official sources that the evacuation couldn't take everyone, so concentrated on current rather than former Delta 011 members, but that's disputed.
I'm sorry, that's a shameful lie. We were working in Delta 011. You know, they even took useless people, cooks, gardeners, drivers, cleaners from NDS.
People left behind will not be given refuge because they weren't employed by the British government, say contacts in Whitehall. But the Afghans dispute that too, saying that while basic salaries were paid by the Afghan government, these were topped up by Britain, often to more than double the basic rate due to close cooperation with SIS, Britain's secret intelligence service.
It was a joint mission of NDS and SIS. Everything was explained in the Memorandum of Understanding. The unit was fully supported by SIS. All staff in our unit were polygraphed by SIS. We were paid by both, but worked under direct supervision of SIS and reported to SIS.
You can do remote monitoring.
3 of those we've been in touch with were also brought to the UK for special training in the interception of mobile phones. This remarkable footage was given to us by an Afghan brought to the UK in 2011. In it, the British trainer explains how mobile phone communications can be rerouted from the service provider.
What you have to bear in mind.
The Afghans were carefully vetted before being brought to the UK. We've established which company was subcontracted by British intelligence agencies to do the training and confirmed that the trainer named to us by the Afghans worked there. Yet the people given this specialist knowledge have been cut adrift by the Arab scheme and former SIS colleagues. Their messages go unanswered.
I had 2 WhatsApp numbers for the UK support team, but both of them are offline since the 31st of August.
The UK's support team was a 15-strong MI6 and GCHQ element based at the British Embassy, data linked to Delta 011 in an NDS compound at Shash Darak across the city. As the section grew to more than 200 staff able to monitor all of Afghanistan's phone and internet services, it could also feed the UK's intelligence picture.
They had direct connectivity to us and all of our data.
The left behind feel anger with their former allies.
Unfortunately, people like me who worked side by side with the UK and US allies and carried out our duties, we are left in such a horrifying and dreadful situation. Every minute we face death threats. We don't even have a chance to leave our front door to grab a bottle of water. We don't have anything. We should have been evacuated, and we are left in a dire and dangerous situation and in fear.
Now that the Taliban are fully in control, they're keen to use the surveillance system developed with UK know-how and cash to target their own enemies. Some members of Delta 011 have already agreed to work for them and are trying to persuade those in hiding.
I am in real problems from NDS. They're calling and giving messages to come to the office. Today again I got calls from NDS. I have not answered their calls. In the past few days they have killed many Afghan National Security Forces staff and others who supported the Western world.
The Taliban have issued a decree ordering all military and intelligence personnel back to work. One of the NDS staff in hiding has shared with us a letter from a Taliban security office that was left with his family. It accuses him of collaborating with British intelligence, tells him to turn himself in, and says it's his last warning.
Well, under the threat of death, it's entirely understandable why some people might decide to do that. But I think that means it's all the more urgent that the British government is seeking to engage and in trying to ensure, wherever possible, that these people who do have these capabilities are not able to deploy them in support of the new regime. I think that would be particularly worrying for the people of Afghanistan. And I think it only underlines the particular importance of providing support to these individuals.
When one considers who the new Taliban intelligence boss is, the ironies of Britain leaving behind a state-of-the-art national surveillance system could hardly be more bitter. Siraj Haqqani has long had a $10 million bounty on his head as a specially designated global terrorist, but now controls the NDS. If you'd think that the prospect of having British-trained experts running surveillance for the Taliban might cause wheels to move a bit faster in Whitehall, think again. None of the Afghan intelligence officers that we've been in touch with, including one who's managed to get out of the country already, have yet heard from the British government about whether they'll get the right to resettle here. Last week, a senior Foreign Office official was in Kabul to talk to the Taliban. He offered speeded up aid in return for freedom of movement for Afghans, including those left behind. The question now is whether the Taliban will ever let those intelligence experts go.
Mark Urban there. Well, we asked the Foreign Office for a response to this story. A UK government spokesperson told us the government continues to do all it can to ensure safe passage for those who wish to leave and is committed to supporting the people of Afghanistan. The Afghan relocations and assistance policy for those who work with the UK and Afghanistan remains open. The ARAP scheme is not time limited. The government's working to facilitate the continued relocation of those who are eligible.